Today I want to talk about mental illness during this pandemic and how it has affected others and me personally. For me, I have anxiety, and the way that I cope with it is by distracting myself with the outside world. My favorite things to do during an anxiety or panic episode are get in the car and either go shopping, walk around the mall, go on a hike, maybe go get some lunch. But most of all, I like to distract myself with my friends and family. One of the most important people that is able to help me through an anxiety attack is my grandmother. And unfortunately, with the pandemic going on, I'm not able to go visit her. So the most that I can do is call her or FaceTime her, which is not the same as physical interaction. Anxiety is something that runs in my family, so the people that I'm closest to completely understand what I'm going through. And anxiety is just something that I've always battled with, even before I knew what anxiety was. Actually, just yesterday, I had a really bad panic attack that made my entire body feel asleep and get that tingly sensation that you usually get when a body part is asleep. And all I wanted to do was just get out, go somewhere, distract myself, and just be around people. But where would I go? That panic attack ended up lasting about an hour until it just mentally exhausted me enough to make me fall asleep for a little while. But that actually wasn't my worst day throughout the duration of this pandemic. My worst day was a day filled with anxiety, and it was just topped off with really, really bad panic. And I just couldn't make it go away. I couldn't shake it on my own. There's nothing I could do. The only thing that I could do was take my anxiety medication that knocks me out. So what I did was I took it, and of course I fell asleep right after taking it. But then 4 or 5 hours would go by and I would wake up, and then I'd have to take it again in order to fall asleep again and feel better. So that day was the worst of it all. But that was also during the beginning of this pandemic, when we weren't really used to it, but now it's almost becoming the norm. So in that way, I've been feeling better about it. But according to KFF.org, a broad body of research links social isolation and loneliness to poor mental health, and recent data shows that significantly higher shares of people who were sheltering in place, which were 47% of people, reported having negative mental health effects running from worry or stress related to the coronavirus than people who were not sheltering in place, which 37% of those people had negative mental health effects. Negative mental health effects due to social isolation may be particularly pronounced among older adults and households with adolescents, as these groups are already at risk for depression and suicide thoughts. Isolation in itself is a risk factor for suicide amongst people who are sheltering in place. The feeling of being alone can be a very bad trigger for some people, including myself. So to quote KFF.org again, research shows that job loss is associated with increased depression, anxiety, distress, and low self-esteem, and may lead to higher rates of substance use disorders and suicide. Recent polling data shows that more than half of the people who lost their income or employment reported negative mental health impacts from worry or stress from the coronavirus, and lower income people reported higher rates of major negative mental health impacts compared to higher income people. And right now we have 22 million people who filed for unemployment, so that is a big chunk of people that could be having this negative feeling. But hopefully the businesses will reopen soon and no more will shut down at this time. For me, feeling as if I'm trapped is one of my worst anxiety triggers. In this first graph, it shows the percent of adults who say worry or stress related to the coronavirus has had a negative impact on their mental health. based on sheltering in place status. So for people who were sheltering in place, 47% of those individuals said that they had an impact to their mental health, 21% being a major negative impact, and 27% being a minor negative impact. For people who are not sheltering in place right now, 37% of people said that they were having an impact to their mental health, with 13% being a major negative impact and 24% being a minor negative impact. For my second graph, this shows the percent of adults who say worry or stress related to the coronavirus has had a negative impact on their mental health based on job or income loss. So for people having lost their job or income, 54% of them had reported that they were having an effect to their mental health, with 26% being a major negative impact and 28% being a minor negative impact. For those individuals who have not lost their job or income, 40% of them had reported that they were having a negative impact towards their mental health, with 15% of those people having a major negative impact and 25% of those people having a minor negative impact. My last graph displays the percent of adults who say worry or stress related to the coronavirus has had a negative impact on their mental health by household income. For people with households earning less than $40,000 a year, 50% of them had a negative impact towards their mental health, with 26% being a major negative impact and 24% having a minor negative impact. For households bringing in $40,000 to $89,000 a year, 42% of those people had reported that they had a negative impact on their mental health, with 17% having a major negative impact and 25% having a minor negative impact. With households bringing in $90,000 a year or more, 43% of those people were having a negative impact on their mental health, with 14% having a major negative impact and 29% having a minor negative impact. So to end, I would like to say thank you for a terrific semester, and I hope to see you on campus again next year.